I just wanted to say we're very happy to be here, to have our second win in a row. We are obviously hugely disappointed in the news that we heard during the race with the loss of a couple of fellow competitors, and our heartfelt condolences go out to all the friends and family of those competitors. Yeah, sad news.
Tony, how do you balance, I guess, celebrating and acknowledging what was a terrific win with also being respectful and acknowledging the people that passed away?
Well, we're kind of doing that right now. I think the guys are just we're obviously not doing any celebrations on the boat, and we'll do that quietly later on.
How is Christian doing, and where is he?
Unfortunately, Christian had a stomach bug. He's somehow given himself food poisoning, I think. So he just got off the boat right at the end, and he's had to go to the hotel. He's quite sick. He's been throwing up. Yeah.
How are you feeling to be here? It's been pretty challenging conditions.
Yeah, very happy to be here. It was challenging conditions. Probably the roughest race I've done out of the 11 that I've done. But you know, we came through okay. We didn't break too much stuff, and people are okay. We've got a few bumps and bruises. But
can you describe some of the conditions, like the big waves?
Well, it was as forecast, 35 to 45 knots downwind out of Sydney, all the way to Green Cape and a little bit beyond for us. The big waves, there's always a lot of counter currents down there which change the direction of the waves, so they're got to be on your toes for that. And then afterwards, once the front rolled through, we obviously had a big push from the west, which added another challenge where we had to basically slow down for about 4 or 5 hours.
And what did you think when you found out Comanche had?
Well, we sort of knew something was up because I could see them when we both jibed pretty much at the similar time. So we knew, we actually saw that we were closing. So without actually having any data on that, I could see that. But so I figured they had some issue. But I mean, it's not easy to jibe one of these 100-footers. We had to do it 5 times, and luckily we came through it okay.
Were there any injuries or damage to any of the equipment or any of the sailing?
No sail damage whatsoever, 0. Absolutely, totally surprised on that. We've got a few bent stanchions. We had a few issues with just, you know, what I'd call crew screw-ups, myself included, and there's a few bumps and bruises. Yeah.
But when you heard news of what had happened on that first night of sailing, how did that affect the crew in an emotional sense, I suppose?
I actually didn't hear it on the first night. I didn't hear it till early hours of the next morning. We were pretty busy, so we're 100% focused on the race. I think our navigator knew, and he just had to pick the right moment to let us know.
How did that change the mood on the boat?
It absolutely became more sombre. We were, you know, surprised and obviously, you know, just felt for the other competitors. You know, it's a very nice thing to hear.
So this must be a pretty bittersweet kind of event for you guys, back to back, but you know, with the
sure is.
cloud.
Yep, sure is.
Tony, does it put into perspective when you hear that when you're out there how dangerous it is what you're doing?
Yeah, that's a hard one. It's like asking an F1 driver whether he thinks it's dangerous. I mean, for me, you know, I've raced 6 times around the world. I've seen way worse conditions than that for week or 2 weeks on end. So I guess I'm probably the wrong person to ask about that. But to us, it was, you know, like it was part of our management of the boat was to get here. To finish first, you must, you know, look after the asset. So we were certainly mindful of that, and we pushed when we could, and we certainly had to take the foot off the throttle when it was too much.
If you said that you've seen worse conditions around the world, you must have been so taken back by the news of the 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was, you know, a great surprise because, you know, in the Australian yachting community, normally the hugely skillful people, and it's a massive undertaking for any boat or crew or management of a boat to just to just to have just to be able to compete in the Sydney Hobart, all the things you have to do and how skillful you have to be it's a very high end, and hold all of those people in the highest regard.
In these circumstances, does it mean more or set in a bit more to turn up for everyone to see their loved ones here and sort of have that moment now on dry land?
Yeah. I mean, it's always in the back of your mind, and you know, it's certainly friends and family help the mood.
I imagine it's been a fairly stressful 24 hours for everyone who's close to everyone on a boat, really. Can you sort of talk to us about that, about how I imagine people would have been very worried about you guys?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I know my wife appreciated my texts from the boat because she's, you know, was following it, as were my adult kids. So that was, they were very, very grateful to hear that we were all okay, and the news, it certainly affected them, so as it would and should.
And do you or anyone on the boat know Roy or Nick personally, or the crew members who've been involved?
We haven't had a chance to talk about that. We were going to debrief about that later. I don't know them personally, but I'm sure we have quite a few Australian sailors on board. I'm sure they will.
From a pure sailing sense, you must be particularly proud of how you raced and the result you were able to achieve, given, I suppose, the conditions and everything that happened out there.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't without our mishaps, as you saw when we went out of the heads, led out of there, and then we made a rookie error with trying to unfurl the wrong side of the furl, which created a problem. But the rest of it, after that, we had to reevaluate, rethink, think ahead, and just double check everything and go from there. And after that, it went pretty well.
When you had that problem and saw Comanche storm away, did you think maybe that was the race done?
No, not once. No, that was. I mean, they were going to come past us anyway. They're a way faster yacht. They're probably going 3 or 4 knots faster in those conditions. So we were just waiting for the night time where our skill, where we could close in and try and be close to them for the remainder of the race.
Okay, what's the toughest part of this race, Tony?
Toughest part?
Sorry, Tony, can you sort of the cameras?
Toughest part was probably the first night, doing for us executing 5 jibes in 35 to 40 knots.
Does it help that you've had predominantly the same crew on board this year? I know there's really only one change in your crew from last year.
Yeah, crew continuity is a big help for us, especially once you know how everyone's going to react in a situation, or the person right next to you. Yeah, it makes a massive difference.
You said something about the 35 knots, just in layman's terms. Can you just explain that moment and how everyone was feeling during those challenging conditions?
Yeah, well, for us, 35 to 40 knots is about the upper end where we're pushing it, but right on the limit. So we had to execute those 5 manoeuvres in a really good way, and we did. Much more than that, we're in a different mode where we're probably reducing sail a lot more and slowing the boat down. Whereas in the 35 to 40, we're right on the upper limit of what we can do on that boat.
You had a number of people on board. This was their first city to Hobart. Tell us how they fared bringing them in for the first time.
Yeah, they were great. Yeah, they loved it. They came out with all big smiles at the end of it, and certainly, if not now, but later on, I think they'll certainly look back on it and will remember it.
You came within striking distance of that record a couple of times. How did you feel about sort of the time overall?
Yeah, I never actually thought we'd ever get it, even before the start. There was from what I saw in the forecast, there was no chance, because especially once we had to slow down. Once the front rolled over and we had to go across Bass Strait, we were slowing down, because just with the sea state, just to save the hull.
2 line honours in a row. Will you return next year? Is that the plan?
Absolutely.
We heard from Christian before in Sydney. He was worried about the forecast. How is he doing given last night and all the news that unfolded?
Well, obviously, like us, you know, as a competitor in the race, he was pretty saddened to hear the news, and I'm sure he regrets not being here right now. He's just unfortunately he's quite ill. So,
What part of the race did he go down? Like, how long has he been?
oh, it was only in the last 4 or 5 hours.
Was he able to physically? Does that mean the last 4 or 5 hours he wasn't physically able to do much with you guys?
Yeah, correct.
What was the culprit? What was the meal he ate that might have put him down?
I'm not sure. Something freeze-dried, I'd imagine.
Surely he can't get away with calling the boat a shitbox anymore.
He's going to try. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.